Could be wonderful on the Westside. A local city council proposal to inject community spirit and economic energy along a main thoroughfare. Councilman Rockman Johnson will join us. We're also digging into what Republicans want you to hear about the big, beautiful bill. Georgia Congressman Buddy Carter answers the questions and looks ahead to the future of cryptocurrency, plus millions set aside for military bases in the area, how that will impact the places like Kings Bay on This Week in Jacksonville. Thank you for joining us on this first weekend of August. Now, reporters with Politico revealed a 5-page memo from the National Republican Congressional Committee, and it has suggestions for talking points during the summer recess from Congress. Speaking with GOP Representative Buddy Carter from Georgia's 1st District, I asked about the big news in this summer cycle, what Republicans call the One Big Beautiful Bill. Pushing back on the party's notion that everything is great, I asked him why he supports it and what the big wins really are.
Well, first of all, had this bill not passed, it would have resulted in the largest tax increase ever in the history of our country. And for 88% of Georgians, they would have seen a tax increase of almost $1,500 a year. That equates to about 7 weeks worth of groceries. We can ill afford to let that happen in our economy. Not only that, but we made some very good reforms, particularly in health care. I served as the chair of the Health Subcommittee of Energy and Commerce, and we were responsible for over half of the savings in the entire bill. Most of that came from Medicaid reform. We actually stabilized, we saved, we sustained Medicaid. We made it better. And keep in mind what Medicaid is for. It's a safety net program for the most vulnerable in our society. And we did it without really hurting anyone. We did it through eliminating waste, fraud, and abuse. We did it through making sure that we're checking more often for eligibility, so we got ineligibles off of it, we got illegals off of it, and we also made sure that those able-bodied adults who are receiving Medicaid are working, are either volunteering at least 20 hours a week. Now, if you're disabled, if you're taking care of a child or of a parent, then you're exempt. But if you're sitting at home on the couch and you're getting a program, Medicaid, that is intended for the most vulnerable in our society, you should be working. You should be volunteering at least 20 hours a week. So those work requirements are also a big savings.
Congressman, the opponents of this say this bill increases the debt and that it takes away insurance from people, and I think pointing to taking away from something like Medicaid.
Well, again, we did not do that, and this is just fear-mongering, it's misinformation from the Democrats, and they're just trying to scare people. What we did is we made it better. We made the program that is a safety net program for the most vulnerable in our society, we made it better. We said that, hey, you're not going to have foreign people, illegal foreigners who are here on this program that's paid by taxpayers, American taxpayers. And unfortunately, our senior senator, John Ossoff, voted against an amendment to prohibit illegals from being on Medicaid. He wants illegals on Medicaid. Well, look, it's a safety net program for the most vulnerable in our society. Illegals should not be on that program, yet he thinks they should. And he also voted against the One Big Beautiful Bill, which means that evidently he feels like that Georgians should be able to be taxed $1,500 a year more. I don't agree with that at all.
So, forgive me if I'm confused, but it was a Congressional Budget Office or Office of Budget Management. They say, hey, this is going to raise the debt by trillions.
It's the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, and yes, and I disagree with them. First of all, I don't think they're factoring in a growth rate in our economy like they should be. We have grown an average of 2.8% over the last decade, and they are figuring it at 1.7 or something. I think that's erroneous. I don't think they're taking into consideration the dynamic scoring that they should take into the fact that this is going to be a boom to our economy, and people have more money in their pocket, and they'll be able to spend more, and it's going to help our economy. The CBO is infamous for getting it wrong. They've been wrong numerous times before.
One of your colleagues, John Rutherford, spoke to me recently about this and said he thinks it's a partisan organization, if you will. Their stance is we're nonpartisan. How do you feel about it?
I agree with John. They're supposed to be nonpartisan, and they are economists, and their responsibility is to tell us how much a bill is going to cost or how much it's going to save. They're rarely correct. And I think that says enough right there. But at the same time, You know, we do. You have to go by what they say, and you have to run it by them first. But at the same time, they don't take in consideration what I think they should and what many of us think they should, and that is dynamic scoring. What impact is it going to have on the economy? This is going to improve the economy and therefore improve our growth.
Let me shift topics a little bit. We're talking during summer recess, August recess, but it was July we got to talk here, and you got an extra day off. The Speaker of the House really kind of in the limelight here because of what's going on with calls to see the Epstein investigative files released. Where do you stand on this?
Well, look, I've always been for transparency and accountability, and so is the president. The president has said release those files. He has instructed Pam Bondi to release those files, and I think we're lockstep with the president here. I trust the president. I trust his judgment on this, and I think he's making the right moves here, and we need to let the process play out.
Any concerns about what might be in those files?
You know, it really baffles me because if there were some incriminating evidence against the president, those files have been around for a while. You know that the other party would have used them way before now if they had the opportunity to. If there was something incriminating against the president, there may be some things incriminating against other world leaders. I don't know. I'm not privy to that information. I'm not on the Intel committee or anything. But at the same time, again, the president has indicated and instructed Pam Bondi to release those files, and I think we're lockstep with him, and I trust the president.
Let's talk about something that you're motivated about. You've introduced a bipartisan PBM reform package.
Yes.
Maybe explain what the PBM is, and this kind of slides into your professional background.
Yes,
right?
It does. I am a pharmacist, and I dealt with PBMs during my practice of pharmacy. It's Pharmacy Benefit Managers is the acronym that PBM stands for, and they are the ones who negotiate pharmacy contracts, and unfortunately, they are not sharing those savings with patients or with plan sponsors. They're pocketing that money. You know, United Healthcare is the fourth largest company in America in terms of revenue. Fourth largest company in America. And the vertical integration that exists and the drug pricing chain now, where you have the insurance company that owns the PBM, that owns the group purchasing organization, that owns the pharmacy, that owns the doctors. The largest employer of doctors in America now is United Healthcare. 9% of all physicians work for United Healthcare, and an insurance company. Now, there's nothing wrong with working for United Healthcare, but at the same time, an insurance company is the largest employer of physicians in America. Not only do they own all those things, they also own a bank. An insurance company owns the bank. And not only is United the fourth largest, but CVS Caremark is the sixth largest company in America. And the 16th largest is the other third PBM, and that's Cigna. Those three companies own PBMs that control 80% of the market. And they are demanding discounts from pharmaceutical manufacturers that they are not sharing with patients, and they're not sharing with the plan sponsors. That's why I have legislation. It's called the PBM Reform Act of 2025. And what it does is that it will prevent and prohibit spread pricing in Medicaid, which will save taxpayers over $10 billion, or over $3 billion, excuse me. But what that does, spread pricing is where they may buy it for $5, but they charge the patient and charge the plan sponsor $10. That's the spread that they're doing there. That's how they're making money. It prohibits that. It also delinks the compensation of the PBM from the price of the drug to just a flat fee. Instead of getting a percentage of the drug, they'll get just a flat fee, $10, $15. And it also calls for more transparency so that the plan sponsors, the employers, they can see the savings that the PBMs are getting. And as a result of that, they will demand that the PBMs share those savings.
What was your motivation to come up with this?
You know, I was the one for 40 years when I was practicing pharmacy who had to go to the counter and tell the senior citizen how much their medication was and watch them make a decision between buying groceries and buying their medicine. I was the one who had to go to the counter and tell the mother how much the antibiotic was for her child and watch her as she was in tears trying to figure out how she was going to pay for that antibiotic. And I said it's my mission and my focus to do something about it, and that's what we're doing.
Is there pushback? Are you getting...
Absolutely. As you can imagine, the insurance companies
yeah.
are very powerful, and yes, there is pushback.
Democratic Congressional Campaign Committee spokesperson Veet Shelton said in a statement this week, the big ugly law is a political disaster. The American people know it's a giveaway to billionaires that's paid for by ripping away health care from millions and jacking up folks' energy costs. Everyone hates it, and vulnerable House Republicans know it, which is why they're scared to face their constituents in person during the August recess. All right, there's more with Buddy Carter in our next segment. A short conversation about his decision to enter the race for U.S. Senate and the early attempts to regulate cryptocurrency. That's next on This Week in Jacksonville.
You're watching This Week in Jacksonville with Kent Justice.
Congressman Earl Buddy Carter from Georgia has his eyes set not on re-election to the House, but a move to the U.S. Senate. That election is not until November next year, with a primary next spring. I also asked him recently about new rules concerning cryptocurrency and our region's relationship with the military. Representative Carter won appropriations for the armed forces in southeast Georgia, including 3 more submarines at Kings Bay Naval Base.
Obviously, the 1st Congressional District of Georgia, we're very blessed to have Hunter Army Airfield, Fort Stewart, Kings Bay, 2 Coast Guard stations. We have a strong military presence, and we were able to secure funds in the Department of Defense appropriations process that is going to bring more facilities and more growth to our military facilities in our district. And that's important not only for the economy, but also, obviously, for the defense of our country.
Is there growth opportunities that come because of the appropriations?
There is. There's growth opportunities that come. There are needs at Fort Stewart, more housing, more barracks. All of those things are the quality of life for our soldiers is very important to me, and I want to make sure that we retain good soldiers.
Yeah. Let me wrap up here. You had a statement that came out a week or 2 ago about the House patches of the key crypto legislation.
Yes.
Warren Buffett's a pretty smart financial guy. He says, don't invest in something you don't understand. How much do we not understand about crypto? But it sounds like the House and Congress are saying we need to do something about this.
Well, we do. We need guardrails. We need to make sure that that crypto, which is the wave of the future, that future is here in America. If we're not careful, then the future of crypto is going to be in foreign areas, in foreign lands, and we don't want that to happen. We want it to be right here in America. That's why passing the Clarity Act and passing the Genius Act, which were all related to cryptocurrency, were very important, and I'm very proud that we got that done.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but you were elected to Congress in 2016?
Yeah, 2014 I was elected. I took office in 2015.
Okay, so here we are a few years later, 10 years later.
Yes.
You got your eyes on a different place in Congress. You're running for U.S. Senate. Why?
I am running for the United States Senate, and we need a change. Every statewide elected official in the state of Georgia is Republican, with the exception of our 2 senators. That's an anomaly. Voters in the state of Georgia voted overwhelmingly for Donald Trump for president, and they deserve someone in the Senate, and President Trump deserves someone in the Senate from Georgia who is going to support him and his America First policies. We've done that in the House, and we're going to continue to do that in the Senate.
Shouldn't there be a balance of opinion and not just a balance of power that we're talking about for the houses or the House or the Senate, but shouldn't there be Democratic voices from Georgia at the federal government level? Well,
it should, and there are. We have 5 House members who are Democrats. So to say that we don't have any Democratic voices is certainly erroneous. But at the same time, a red state, every statewide elected official was Republican, with 2 Democratic senators, again, that voted overwhelmingly for Donald Trump for president. He deserves someone, Georgians deserve someone in the Senate who's going to support the president and his America First policies.
What are the challenges for you? You're in Georgia District 1, so southeast Georgia, which is great for us here. That's part of our viewing area and what have you. But Georgia's a big enough state. There's a lot of people that you'd need to hear from to have that role.
That is, and it will be challenging for us to get around the state and get our name ID up. We've already done that. We spent $2.5 million in the Atlanta market to get our name recognition up, and it worked. We're 10 points above anybody else right now, so we feel real good about it. It's a good investment. We had a great second quarter. We raised over $3.2 million, and we've got over $4 million in our coffers again. So even after having spent $2.5 million, we've still got $4 million, which is far, far above anyone else.
the election is not this year.
No, it is not.
You're starting early?
We are starting early, but it's it's exciting, and we're very optimistic and very excited about it.
Are you getting support from leadership, the White House or Senate leadership?
We continue to work with the White House to gain an endorsement from President Trump. I've been very close with President Trump ever since I've been in, and he's been in office, and we continue to work toward that, and we feel like we're getting very close.
All right, just ahead, a focus on the local scene and how some council members in the city of Jacksonville want to transform a part of the West Side with something called the Wonderland corridor. Rockman Johnson next on This Week in Jacksonville.
You're watching This Week in Jacksonville on Channel 4.
And joining us in this final segment today, Jacksonville City Councilman Rockman Johnson, representing District 14. And I just mentioned this to you. I want to start with something that developed late this week. Florida DOGE announcing it's going to take a look at the city of Jacksonville's finances. A letter sent to Mayor Donna Deegan reads, in part, although Jacksonville has taken steps in recent years to reduce millage rates on residents, rising property values have pushed annual property tax collections up by over $400 million since 2020, a 57% increase. This growing burden on property owners far outpaces inflation and the modest growth in population over that time. That's the mayor's office is saying that the city's been cooperating with Florida DOGE since it first made a request in March, that it will continue to do so, going on to say it welcomes any financial evaluation not driven by partisanship or political gamesmanship. We had Mayor Donna Deegan on with us last week, and I asked, hey, what about when this announcement comes? If it does, she said, bring it. What's your perspective on this, sir?
Well, I voted against it. The council, one of my colleagues came and said, hey, we want Florida to come in, Councilman Freeman, and who is a friend, and we work together. That's just something I disagree with. We heard it from the national level. The president himself said, you know what, DOGE is maybe a mistake. And so here on the local level, where our Duval DOGE has said that we've found money, and I liken it to this. I liken it to having an American Express with a $100,000 limit, and I spend only $10,000. I hadn't found $90,000, I just didn't spend it, and that's what happened with our local DOGE. And so I don't think the state DOGE is going to bring much more, but I will tell you the city is going to be cooperative. We are in a way of trying to find efficiency, but as I've said from the beginning, the Jacksonville area, this community has had a DOGE in place since 1968, and it's called the Jacksonville City Council.
Okay. Yeah, and we've heard from the mayor's office also this lean effort over the past few years. The notion that the millage rate may have gone down, but the profits or the revenue for the city has gone up. What do you say to that?
Well, I spoke against it at our last council meeting. It just doesn't make sense. It's all fun and games, and it's political partisanship and posturing when we're saying we want to roll back the millage rate and turn it into something else until your garbage doesn't get picked up, or there are potholes in your streets, or the street lights aren't coming on. We just saw it with this city council where we had to make a really tough decision to ensure that the solid waste fees that had been kicked down the road for 12 or 13 years, like, oh, we're gonna just take it out of the reserves, and now we're in a place, if we don't do it, then it could bankrupt the city. And we don't need to end up in a place like that, which is why incrementally we must make sure that if we need to make increases, we do. But the beautiful part of where we are now, not wanting to take any more money from people, but the thing is, if we can leave the millage rate the same because of the increase in property value, as you've said, we get those revenues in. And one of my colleagues said, if you give the city $1, they're going to spend it. And I just don't believe that. We are the people. We are the best of us. We are trying to do the things that make sure that the roads are paved, or make sure that those who don't have the opportunity to go to a UF Health or wherever. So it's kind of our responsibility. And so I believe that reducing the millage rate, it's just not a good idea, and that's dead on arrival unless I see some data that gives me something else to look at.
Well, I want to talk about this effort. I know you, with Councilwoman Trino Clark Murray and Randy White, proposing a business improvement district. It's going to oversee stimulation of economic and commercial life along what you guys have dubbed the Wonderland corridor. So here's a map of it. Basically a 9-mile stretch along 103rd Street, Blanding Boulevard, west of Normandy. Tell me about this idea and why you think it might be important.
Kent, I could not be more excited. The Westside is all about growth for me, and there's a great opportunity. I mean, look at it. In Randy's district, former Council President White, they're building a beach. That's probably just really exciting to me. I can't wait to go check out that new community, that Diamond Lagoon community over there. But the Wonderland corridor, and again, it doesn't have to be Wonderland. It's just kind of what we came up with. At least I kind of put this proposal together. But it would take $250,000 of the community benefits agreement from former Council President White, Councilwoman Clark Murray, put it together to front load a business improvement district with $750,000 so we can start the placemaking effort. And interestingly enough, we're a city of 875 square miles, as you well know. As big as we are, we've only got one business improvement district, and that's downtown. So we are ripe for having this district, but this is the vision, to go from Blanding Boulevard all the way to Cecil Field, and you have placemaking along that corridor, you have facade improvements, you have lighting and signage that tie the community in together, but most importantly, you have incubators to allow those businesses to work together and to create opportunities for more businesses to come. And when I say more businesses, I don't mean just businesses selling dresses or shoes or what have you, but imagine if they're boutique hotels. And with those hotels come restaurants, so that you get unique dining experiences on the West Side that you can't get at the town center or you can't get in Mandarin. That's the kind of idea that you want. So people from other sides of town, the North Side or the South Side, will come into the West Side and have things they can't get anywhere else, right? And people who right now, the executives from Amazon and Wayfair and those larger companies, even auto aviation, people that are in the Cecil Commerce Center, when they come into town, they've got to go to stay downtown or out to the South Side.
This would change things.
This changes it for a multi-decade, multi-billion-dollar impact.
And Councilman, I know this is early in the process, and we will certainly follow along to see how it goes. Thank you so much. I know it's brief, but I appreciate talking on those two big topics today.
Always good to be here, and I look forward to coming back.
All right, thank you. I'm Kent Justice. Thanks for watching on air on Channel 4, the CW17, and online at news4jax.com. You'll also find us streaming on News4Jax Plus.
See why every day more people are choosing News 4 Jax, Northeast Florida and South Georgia's #1 source for local news.